Once these idols were impossible to ignore, captivating fans and dominating headlines, but today their names barely come up, leaving fans wondering where they are and what's happening with their careers. From Hani to Sunmi, Chungha, and even the first openly lesbian K-pop idol, these once prominent idols have quietly faded from the spotlight, and here are the stories behind why the world seems to have moved on from them. Starting with Hani, she has long been a favorite among K-pop fans. She debuted with EXID in 2012, a group filled with talent and strong tracks, yet despite their potential, disbandment seemed likely in their early years. However, everything shifted when a fan cam of Hani performing Up and Down went viral, instantly propelling both her and EXID into the spotlight. The unexpected fame allowed the group to return to music shows and reignite their careers, continuing active promotions until 2019, when several members left their company and the group went on hiatus. In 2022, EXID came back together to celebrate their 10th anniversary, proving they hadn't disbanded for good. During this period, Hani's individual profile grew as she explored variety shows, acting roles, and occasional solo music projects, steadily building her presence outside the group. Back then, she was an idol that fans eagerly followed, always curious about her next move. Today, however, Hani's appearances are rare, leaving fans puzzled and wondering when it all went wrong. After years of dazzling fans with her talent and presence, Hani's focus seemed to shift last year, beginning in May when it was announced that she would be marrying psychiatrist Yang Jae-woong in September. Their relationship had been public since 2022, and while some fans questioned the age difference, many were happy to see Hani find someone who brought her joy. She addressed her fans directly in a heartfelt letter, thanking them for their support and sharing that she had met someone she wanted to spend her life with. It was even revealed that she had proposed to him herself, a gesture that convinced fans of the depth of their love and left many believing that this new chapter would bring her lasting happiness, showing a side of Hani's life fans rarely got to see amidst her career. However, just 2 months later, on July 28th, SBS News reported a tragic incident involving a 33-year-old woman who had been admitted to a well-known psychiatric hospital in Bucheon, Gyeonggi-do. At the time, she had been there for 17 days. The report included CCTV footage showing that around 1 a.m. on May 27th, the woman repeatedly knocked on her door, pleading to be let out as she experienced severe abdominal issues, constantly rubbing her stomach in discomfort. Instead of addressing her distress, a nurse and a doctor entered, administered medication, and restrained her to the bed before leaving, even as her abdomen began swelling and she suffered a nosebleed before eventually losing consciousness. Medical staff returned later, providing emergency care for 5 minutes before initiating CPR, but their delayed response was insufficient. Despite their efforts, she never regained consciousness and later developed intestinal pseudo-obstruction, which led to her passing. In an interview with SBS News, her mother explained that they had chosen this hospital specifically for its well-known program treating addiction to diet pills. To protect privacy, SBS withheld the hospital's name and the identities of the medical staff, only noting that the facility's owner was a prominent figure in the field. Amid the public shock over the tragic hospital incident, it quickly came to light that it occurred at Wjin Hospital, owned by Hani's fiancé. The revelation sent waves through social media, with many netizens expressing understandable outrage. The hospital claimed that staff had done everything possible to save the patient, but the family disagreed and filed a police complaint. This prompted a formal investigation into the hospital staff and directors for possible violations of medical law, capturing nationwide attention. Because Hani had recently become engaged to Jae-woong and had been in a relationship with him for several years, her social media was immediately flooded with messages urging her not to go through with the marriage. The following day, Jae-woong released a statement through his agency, Mystic Story, expressing deep sorrow over the incident and apologizing to the grieving family. He acknowledged that the tragedy occurred at his hospital and, as director, promised to treat the investigation with full seriousness, cooperating with authorities and providing evidence such as CCTV footage and the patient's medical records. Despite his statement, public anger continued to grow and now also targeted Hani, with critics questioning why she hadn't spoken up yet about what happened. Her agency also faced repeated inquiries about whether she had any knowledge of the patient's passing before deciding to marry him, but they declined to comment, leaving fans and the public even more unsettled. Matters worsened when the deceased patient's family reportedly dismissed Jae-woong's apology as insincere, calling it a mere public performance. They claimed he had not reached out to them personally since issuing the statement, fueling further outrage and skepticism from the public. By September 3rd, Jae-woong's agency announced that the wedding had been postponed, noting that it was a mutual decision between the couple. A few weeks later, he gave an exclusive interview to Hankyore, expressing that the incident was deeply regrettable and that he felt a strong sense of responsibility. He clarified that he had not been directly involved in the patient's care, explaining that he only oversaw outpatient services and that the admission had been handled by another physician without his prior knowledge. Regarding Citing the use of isolation and restraint, Jae-woong stated these actions followed Ministry of Health and Welfare guidelines, applied in cases where patients might harm themselves or others. He also acknowledged that communication and staff training during emergencies needed improvement, especially after criticism over the quality of CPR administered in this case. Jae-woong offered another apology to the grieving family and expressed his condolences. The interview, however, did not address his relationship with Hani or provide any update on their wedding plans. In the aftermath of the controversy, Hani stepped back from her public activities, withdrawing from her MC role on JTBC4's Review Cut and largely disappearing from social media for an extended period. Although she later reunited with EXID for group promotions, the energy wasn't quite the same as before. In fact, during a performance at the Far East Music City Festival in Indonesia on May 17th, fans couldn't help but notice how much she had changed. A fan cam of her performing Up and Down quickly went viral on TikTok, with viewers commenting on her noticeably different appearance. Her hair was shorter, she had no bangs, her makeup style had changed, and her eyebrows were lighter. Some fans explained the shift as a result of the hairstyle and eyebrow color, while others speculated that there might be more behind her transformed look. Despite all the attention on her changing appearance, fans were more concerned about why Hani hadn't addressed the hospital incident sooner. The situation likely wouldn't have drawn so much attention if he had simply been an acquaintance, but given that Hani was engaged to him and they were planning to marry before the scandal erupted, it was natural for the public to be intensely curious and concerned. Finally, their questions were answered when she appeared on Oh Eun-young's Stay, opening up about her experiences during the scandal. On the show's third episode, she was introduced with the term nunchi, which refers to social awareness or the ability to read a room. When Dr. Oh Eun-young asked, "Nunchi? About who?" Hani revealed it was about her, explaining that she is naturally very sensitive to others and constantly aware of her surroundings. She admitted that this attentiveness often became exhausting, but working in the entertainment industry left her little choice but to keep doing it. Hani also reflected on starting her career at a young age, saying she felt like a frog in a well, limited by how little she understood about the world. During a video segment, her upcoming marriage was subtly mentioned, hinting at why she had been extra cautious recently following the wedding postponement. She shared that she has come to accept that she cannot control everything that happens in her life, and through that realization, she has begun to release the constant need for control, questioning whether it might be okay to simply live and let life unfold. Even though Hani spoke openly and vulnerably about her feelings, much of the public seemed unmoved. Many criticized her for playing the victim, arguing that she wasn't the one harmed and pointing out that no one had yet faced consequences for the actual crime. Other comments read things like, "The bereaved family has lost their daughter, how can she talk like that?" And "The victim couldn't even choose and ended up passing away? Is it that hard to remain quiet about your marriage?" Critics also called her comments tone-deaf given the severity of the incident and accused her of risking her career for a man. On top of that, many people focused on her appearance, claiming she looked unrecognizable, speculating about possible cosmetic work, and commenting that her nose appeared different or that she seemed bloated and altered. After the wave of backlash and speculation surrounding her silence, Hani eventually shifted the focus to something far more personal and grounded. On July 28th, she surprised everyone by revealing that she had just completed a yoga instructor training program. She shared several photos from the certification ceremony on social media. Alongside that update, she continued to post occasional moments from her life, including photos celebrating EXID's 13th anniversary and a cake the members received together, reminding fans that despite everything that had happened, she was still staying connected to the people and career that shaped her life. Just when things were starting to quiet down and people assumed the situation might slowly disappear, everything was pulled right back into the spotlight. The most recent update connected to Hani did not come from her at all, but from her fiancé, and it immediately dragged the entire situation back into the public eye. In October of this year, a doctor working at the clinic owned by him was arrested in connection with the patient's passing. According to the Gyeonggi Southern Provincial Police Agency, the doctor referred to as Dr. A was taken into custody on October 20th due to concerns that he could possibly tamper or destroy evidence. Among other things, Dr. A is accused of neglecting essential safety protocols, which allegedly contributed to the patient's passing. On top of that, a total of 11 individuals, including Jae-woong, have now been booked by police as part of the ongoing case, intensifying public scrutiny once again. Not long after that development, yet another report surfaced, deepening the public frustration even more. On November 14th, the Korea Herald revealed that the case had progressed further, and prosecutors in Incheon had officially charged Dr. A while also indicting 4 nurses in their 40s and 50s without detention for their roles in what happened. The investigation concluded that the doctor responsible for the patient had ignored her constant pleas about unbearable abdominal pain and, instead of providing proper care, had chosen to administer antipsychotic medication. It was also discovered that after she passed, he had falsified parts of her medical records. The nurses did not escape scrutiny either, as they were accused of giving medication without valid prescriptions and forcing the patient into a solitary room, restraining her to the bed, and leaving her alone while she continued crying out in pain. Since that report was released, Hani has remained completely silent, with no statement or response of any kind. Even so, many people are still waiting to see what she decides to do, especially regarding her engagement, and a lot of fans are convinced that unless she chooses to walk away from Jae-woong, her silence will only be seen as acceptance of everything that has happened. So now the debate continues on what choice she'll make and where this will lead her. So what are your thoughts on this topic? Let us know in the comments, and if you want to stay updated on everything happening in K-pop, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. But Hani is not the only idol who once shined everywhere and then quietly stepped away from the spotlight. Another artist with a powerful legacy also became harder to find, leaving many wondering what really happened, and that is Sunmi. After her days with Wonder Girls, Sunmi quickly rose to become one of the biggest solo acts in K-pop. But now, as we're well into 2025, it's been almost a year since she's had an official release. It's surprising to see someone who once ruled a chart slip so quietly out of the spotlight, and it has made people wonder what really happened along the way. If there's one thing that K-pop fans know about the industry, things move so fast that even the biggest stars can fade if they don't keep putting out new music. It's tough for fans to accept sometimes, but once the momentum slows down, the public's attention shifts elsewhere, and unfortunately, Sunmi is a clear example of this. She first made her name as part of Wonder Girls and had already shown hints of her solo potential with songs like 24 Hours and Full Moon. When Wonder Girls eventually disbanded and Sunmi left JYP Entertainment, it seemed like she was set up for success. After spending 12 years under JYP, Sunmi admitted that making the move to a new agency wasn't easy. Still, she felt it was necessary because she needed someone who would push her to grow. She explained that she didn't want to keep doing the same thing over and over, but wanted the freedom to explore different sides of herself, both for the public and her fans. Luckily, she said that the company she joined had a relaxed, supportive environment that gave her the space to do just that. So, considering everything, her move to Make Us Entertainment, later known as Abyss Company, looked like the right decision, especially when her first release under the new label Gashina exploded in popularity. From there, it felt like Sunmi could do no wrong. She dropped hit after hit, Siren, Heroine, Noir, La La La, each one strengthening her place as one of K-pop's top soloists. Along the way, she even carved out her own distinct musical identity, something fans and media eventually named Sunmi Pop. It blended K-pop's usual pop, disco, rock, traditional Korean influences, retro sounds, and city pop, all wrapped up in Sunmi's unique style. The term Sunmi Pop gained real traction too. Yonhap News brought it to Sunmi's attention, and Abyss officially acknowledged it by sharing an article highlighting her signature genre just ahead of her La 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 comeback. So, for a while, Sunmi had it all: back-to-back hits, critical praise, public love, and a packed schedule. Everything seemed to be going smoothly for Sunmi, until 2020 hit. That year marked the beginning of a slow but noticeable decline in her popularity. Each new comeback seemed to make less noise than the one before. Her songs stopped topping charts, her name wasn't trending like it used to, and she wasn't as visible everywhere anymore. It makes you wonder, what exactly changed, and is there a clear reason behind the shift? One thing that keeps coming up is how tough it is for female soloists to stay popular long-term. There are a few rare cases like IU, Taeyeon, Baekhyun, and Baekhyun who've managed to hold on to strong careers, but for most, the public's attention eventually fades. Newer acts pop up all the time, and people, unfortunately, tend to move on quickly. Take Hyuna, for example. She was once the biggest solo name out there, but after Lip and Hip and her exit from Cube, her popularity slowly started slipping with every release. The same pattern can be seen with Chungha and even Hwasa. It feels like both casual listeners and K-pop fans are always looking for the next fresh face, and when releases from older artists slow down, so does the hype around them. As a Reddit user explained, "I feel like this is fairly common for female soloists. They have a bit of a boom, they're everywhere, they're top of the charts, but eventually the GP moves on to the next new shiny thing." Another person shared that Sunmi really squeezed everything she could out of her signature style, especially during her peak from Gashina through Pora Piphum. They thought it was impressive how long she kept that momentum going, but once she stepped away from that familiar sound and tried something different, it didn't land the same way with the public. They also pointed out that since Sunmi isn't viewed as a standout vocalist like Taeyeon, she's not held in quite the same regard. In their eyes, Sunmi's career will probably settle into a more modest, steady place now, and to them, there's nothing wrong with that. Another reason people point to is Sunmi's and her company's involvement with NFTs. In 2022, Abyss Company revealed they were launching the Sunmia Club, a collection of digital profile picture NFTs based on Sunmi. Buyers were promised special perks like fan meetings, private parties, and even chances to share profits, all designed to make the NFT seem like a smart investment. However, the announcement didn't sit well with many fans. Concerns quickly grew over the massive environmental damage NFTs cause, the way they often lead to art theft, and how easily they can be used for shady activities like money laundering, so it's not hard to see why a lot of people were upset. A fan told her, "I love you and you have my support in every project of yours except for this one." But instead of addressing fans' concerns, both Sunmi and Abyss stood firm on their decision. After the backlash, Abyss released a statement saying the NFT project was meant to help Sunmi's music and character live on in a more diverse space, and to honor the love and support from fans over the years. Rather than calming the situation, it only made fans even more frustrated. Sunmi's own response didn't help either. In fact, it made things worse. She told fans that everything she does, from making music to writing lyrics, is for them. She shared that for 15 years, she had always worried about what her fans would enjoy, and to her, it was only natural that sometimes her choices might upset or disappoint them. She even asked, "Don't you know me well?" and said she just hoped fans would trust her because she wanted to show them even better things in the future. However, the most controversial part of the statement was when she said, "If you're hurt and you're tired, then you can leave. I'll keep being on stage, so if you miss me sometimes, please come back." What really upset fans, though, was when Sunmi told them to leave the fandom if they didn't agree with her decisions. That came across as dismissive and hurtful to many, with a user saying, "Not her trying to make her fans feel bad, you made a bad choice, just face it." Fans were especially puzzled when Sunmi appeared to prioritize her NFT project over her fans. Some felt she was pressuring them to support or invest in the project, and as a result, many fans chose to stop supporting her. The negative feedback spread beyond her fan base, causing a lot of people to lose interest in anything Sunmi related, from her music to her appearances on variety shows. As expected, the NFT project didn't go as planned, and things quickly took a turn for the worse. In late 2022, the collapse of Terra Luna and the bankruptcy of the US crypto exchange FTX triggered a massive market crash. As a result, the value of Sunmi's NFTs dropped drastically, from millions of one per unit to just a few tens of thousands. Sunmi had heavily promoted the project, even appearing in videos with Metacong CEO Lee Do-hee to talk about her NFT venture. Because of her strong involvement, some investors accused her of a rug pull, a scam where creators make exaggerated promises to lure in investors before disappearing with their money. In defense, the issuing company claimed they had met all milestones outlined in the original roadmap and used the funds for operational costs and developing a new platform. Despite the company's explanation, many fans lost respect for Sunmi over the incident and decided to stop supporting her altogether. However, if we're being completely honest, the main reason for Sunmi's drop in popularity seems to be the way her company has been handling her career. As we mentioned, after joining her current company, she released hit songs and went on a successful world tour, with many shows selling out, with reports saying that the Seoul concert sold out in just 5 seconds after tickets went live, and even adding more dates due to high demand. But things started to take a downturn after 2020. The comebacks became sparse, mostly digital singles or albums, and since then, she's only had one mini album. With such a long wait between releases and songs that began to sound similar to the public, it's no surprise that Sunmi's popularity started to fade. Her company appeared to be unsure about her direction, giving her just one comeback a year, hoping that would be enough to maintain public interest. After each release, Sunmi would disappear from the spotlight for extended periods, losing the hype and attention people might have had. Even her fans have noticed the issue. Many mentioned how Sunmi often talks about working on new music and has mentioned plans for a full album, including a promise for a 2019 summer release. But then she would suddenly say there wouldn't be new music anytime soon, and there was no mention of an album after that. Fans have speculated that her company might be rejecting, delaying, or even canceling her comebacks altogether, but of course, we have no confirmation of that. Since her comeback with the single Balloon in Love last June, Sunmi has been active in festivals and events, appeared on variety shows, and even teamed up with Chungha for the track Salty. However, she hasn't had any solo releases that aren't collaborations or OSTs. It's hard to believe she was once one of the top soloists in K-pop, and now she's barely in the spotlight. It seems like her only chance of regaining her previous success is by releasing another hit that resonates with the public, drawing attention back to her. But even then, it would depend on her company to capitalize on that viral moment, which, given their track record, seems unlikely. Sunmi's silence confused fans, but there is another name that brings a different kind of heartbreak. Someone who was expected to rule the entire industry, only for everything to suddenly stall. It is the story of Chungha and the potential many believe was never fully realized. Chungha once used to be one of the biggest soloists in the industry, but now it seems like she's disappeared. From no new albums and troubles with her company to a particularly hard period in life, let's talk about the wasted potential of Chungha, who could have been one of the most successful artists of this generation. Her career began in the survival show Produce 101, which she finished in 4th place, and ended up debuting in IOI. Being one of the most successful members of the group while it was still active, her popularity followed her even after the group disbanded. Her solo debut album Hands on Me ranked at number 8 on the Gaon album chart, which was pretty impressive for an idol from a small company. Chungha's second mini album Offset came out in January 2018 and received even more praise. It reached number 3 on the Gaon album chart and marked Chungha's debut in the US World Albums chart at number 13. Mind you, she did all this with her first comeback. Roller Coaster, the album's title track, was one of the biggest hits that year, and Chungha was seemingly everywhere. She had numerous appearances in variety shows, an SM station collab with Red Velvet Sulgi, Idol Soyeon, and G-Friend Shinbi, and had her own collabs with VIX's Ravi and Super Junior's Yesong. Even if you weren't interested in her, it was impossible to escape her as her songs and even fan cams were everywhere. Her next hit song came in January 2019 when Chungha released Gotta Go. She just couldn't stop making bangers. It earned her first ever win on Show Champion, and it gained her a lot of popularity as it showcased a more confident image for Chungha, different from her previous style. This also marked a significant shift in her career, as Gotta Go ranked at number 3 on Billboard's The 25 Best K-Pop Songs of 2019. At this point, Chungha's popularity was at its peak, and her company was very well aware of that as they tried to promote her in all places. In late 2019, she hinted at entering the US market by teaming up with Rich Brian for a song on the Head in the Clouds 2 album. Additionally, she wrote music for well-known dramas like Hotel de Luna and Dr. Romantic 2. In April, she dropped Stay Tonight, a preview single for her first full album Cadencia, which built a lot of hype for it. Everyone was waiting to see just how much Chungha had to offer with an actual album, considering how well her singles had done. Then the hype managed to fade away. With her then pre-release song being scheduled to come out in December 2020 and her album set to drop in January 2021, both releases were delayed. Though it was no fault of Chungha, as she was diagnosed with COVID-19 at the time and couldn't promote due to her condition. But once the album was delayed, it was as though the company just gave up on her. At first, they dropped 3 main pre-releases and other songs before the album dropped. Waiting so long between the first pre-release and the actual release of the album really made the excitement of casual listeners and even fans sizzle out. Then, when the album dropped, Bicycle sounded different from regular K-pop and more like an American pop song with a darker vibe. Chungha herself revealed that she wanted to do something similar to Bicycle, which means that the people who didn't like the release couldn't blame the company for it, but after waiting a year for the project, to them, it was just a bit disappointing. But if we can't blame the company for Bicycle, we can blame them for other things. While M&H Entertainment used to be one of the best companies after IOI disbanded, COVID really did a number on them as, in general, it caused some really big problems for small companies. To start with, they didn't really have the experience or the skills to manage artists. Sure, they hit the jackpot with Chungha, but she was already popular due to IOI, and all M&H had to do was promote her in the right way. Initially, they managed well, but once she gained popularity, they pushed themselves too far and made some decisions they couldn't afford to make. They attempted to do too much by launching another group, which was Bandit, relocating to a new building, investing heavily in Chungha's debut album, and starting their new wave project just as the pandemic began. This meant that they were out of resources and couldn't promote their artists as much as they should have. Chungha and then Bandit went from being promoted everywhere to being locked in the basement and were basically neglected by industry standards. So M&H were in big financial trouble, so the smart thing to do would be to promote their artists, right? Especially Chungha, who was the only one to bring actual money into the company. Well, this wasn't quite a solution according to M&H. Her singles and releases stopped getting promoted, and the company basically acted like the songs would be successful on their own. So all that hype and the expensive rollout for her album was for nothing. In addition to that, they signed other soloists and even debuted another boy group named 8-Turn and tried pushing them instead. In 2022, Chungha released Bare and Rare Part 1, and then things went completely downhill. Only a month after the album was released, Chungha started voicing her dissatisfaction with her company. In August of last year, Chungha had logged into VLive to chat with fans. At some point, she brought up her 2-part album Bare and Rare and mentioned just how frustrated she was about the delays in releasing the second part. She explained that the company's condition was the cause and expressed disappointment because it prevented her from performing the songs that she wanted. The most notable part of the live stream was when a fan expressed just how much they wanted to see Chungha go on a world tour. Chungha also shared that she wanted to do a world tour someday, asking her company why it hadn't happened yet out loud. Another fan asked if she intended to depart from the company, with Chungha replying, "I want to leave. Please let me go." She took her words back, but it didn't mean that fans weren't concerned. One fan in particular went on to share the severity of the situation online, making a post about how the live stream was removed from the VLive site, sharing just how bizarre it was to the fandom that MNH wasn't posting Chungha's selfies despite her sending them to the company. So when Chungha had asked for an explanation, the agency claimed that they had no idea why the photos weren't up, as if this wasn't up to their management team who had control over her social media accounts. The fan also pointed out several mistakes the agency made, like typos and posting the same teaser photos on Instagram and Twitter. Moreover, the agency failed to promote the teasers properly, so few people knew that Chungha had even pre-released songs prior to her album. This made it more than obvious that despite her undeniable popularity, MNH had done her dirty in so many ways, to the point of her getting on livestream and discussing everything so publicly. Thankfully, Chungha ended up departing from the company. She left MNH Entertainment in March of 2023 and joined J-Puck's agency More Vision in October. In fact, J-Puck seemed to have really helped her get through a hard time. When the two appeared on Omniscient Interfering View, J-Puck expressed admiration for Chungha, saying that he was pleasantly surprised at how passionate and enthusiastic she was when performing in front of the camera. He went on to say that he sent her an offer after seeing just how good of a performer she is. Chungha then confessed that J-Puck was the reason that she continued being an idol and didn't go study abroad, saying, "You've been giving me advice since a year ago. You listened to my concerns and kept in touch with me. He's the CEO who contacted me the most." She had spoken up about wanting to give up on the industry altogether at some point, but it was generally nice to hear that someone had valued her so much that it persuaded her to continue being an idol. However, MNH didn't let her go without a fight. They brought her to a point where she begged to leave because of how much they were mistreating her and not letting her release music. The agency chose to be cruel until the last moment. Turns out that Chungha no longer has any control of her social media accounts and even her fan club name. On November 20th, she shared plans for a fresh start with her fans and asked for ideas for a new fandom name. Fans were shocked after this announcement, pointing out that because MNH didn't let her have any of her accounts, Chungha had to open a new Instagram and Twitter account as well as a new YouTube channel because the company chose to be petty and withhold everything. While this isn't the first time that a company has done something like this, MNH's move is pretty excessive and unfair to Chungha, especially considering that her success built the company from the ground up. But this doesn't matter in the end. What matters is that Chungha is out of the company and has joined one that genuinely values her as an artist. Although MNH owns everything from her past, we can hope that this just means that Chungha gets to have a fresh start. We've been waiting for this moment for so long, and we can't wait to see her in the future. And while Chungha's journey is filled with missed opportunities, nothing compares to the chaos surrounding the next name, a situation that became one of the most intense turning points of recent years. People are still asking the same question: where is Kim Garam now, and why is nobody talking about her? Since leaving Le Sserafim, Kim Garam has mostly stayed out of the spotlight, but now, in May 2025, it looks like she might be making a return. Let's dive into the latest updates on her life and see what she has planned for her big comeback. Before Kim Garam could even debut with Le Sserafim, her career was already in jeopardy. On April 5th, 2022, the same day she was announced as a member, accusations about her past started flooding the internet. While it's not rare for idols to face online allegations, Garam's situation stood out because the backlash started before she'd even performed a single stage. That very day, someone posted a lengthy message online claiming Garam had mistreated classmates in school. The post went viral and the rumors quickly snowballed. From accusing her of being a tormentor of her peers, people were also suddenly claiming she had once been a trainee at Starship Entertainment and had been kicked out for leaking confidential information. It all sounded dramatic, and the accusations that were being made had no proof to back them up, but at the time, many took it seriously. Hype pushed back, saying Garam was the actual victim victim, not the tormentor, warning that they would take legal action against those spreading false claims, but their statement only sparked more questions. People were wondering why the company was bothering to go to such lengths for someone who hadn't even debuted yet and who had such serious accusations stacked against her. That skepticism led to even more rumors, this time about Garam's family, money, and connections. Things escalated fast from then on. Friends of Garam were accused of threatening the original poster. Others stepped forward saying she had made inappropriate comments about BTS's Tae Hyun, had insulted IVE and her former bandmate Sakura, and shared old photos of her posing near explicit drawings on a classroom board. Although HYBE stood firm in her defense and acted as if nothing was wrong, fans weren't buying it. During public appearances, it was obvious people were showing support to the other members while keeping quiet whenever Garam was around. But things hit a turning point when a legal firm, Daeryun, released a public statement on behalf of someone claiming to be Garam's victim. The firm detailed specific incidents of harassment and said they had sent evidence to HYBE, who reportedly ignored it. According to the firm, the victim, named Yoo Eun-so, had even harmed herself because of Garam's behavior. The news was explosive and quickly shifted public opinion, and people began demanding Garam be removed from the group. Even then, HYBE continued to deny the claims, but quietly placed Garam on indefinite hiatus while the remaining 5 Le Sserafim members moved forward without her. The hiatus only fueled suspicions that the company was trying to wait out the backlash in hopes of quietly reintegrating her later. But on July 20th, just over 3 months after it all started, HYBE announced they had officially ended Garam's contract and apologized to fans for the mess. After leaving Le Sserafim, many still wanted to hear Garam's version of the story. She had stayed quiet for nearly 2 months, but eventually responded, which wasn't surprising considering the serious accusations that were made against her. In a personal statement, Garam denied ever mistreating anyone. She admitted she wasn't perfect and had made mistakes like any other student, but said she never crossed the line into harming others. She thanked the fans who had stuck by her and said she wanted to grow from the experience. Unlike HYBE, Garam provided a document from her school's disciplinary committee to support her claims. It confirmed there had been a dispute with Yoo Eun-so, but Garam explained it happened after Eun-so posted inappropriate content online and she had simply been defending a friend. Some people felt her side of the story made sense and that her reaction, though harsh, may have come from good intentions. Others weren't as convinced and felt both girls shared responsibility. HYBE declined to comment, saying they no longer represented her. Garam mostly kept a low profile after that, though her fans continued to cheer her on. For her birthday on November 16th of 2022, supporters even ran an ad in Gangnam that played over 100 times throughout the day. She acknowledged it by posting a simple thanks on her friend's Instagram along with a picture in front of the ad. Even though she didn't show her full face, it was enough to make her fans happy. Later that same month, a new post started gaining attention online titled "Former Le Sserafim member Kim Garam's recent whereabouts." It included photos of her in a school uniform hanging out with friends. Although she wore a mask, fans recognized her instantly. Then in May 2023, a new update came, not from her but from a TV program. The show Free Doctor aired a segment about celebrities whose past school behavior had caught up with them after fame. In it, they confirmed that Garam had gone back to school and was now focusing on acting. While she hadn't returned to the entertainment scene, the update gave fans hope that she might try again, but this time as an actress. Turns out, Garam had enrolled at the School of Performing Arts Seoul, better known as SOPA, and completed her studies there in May 2023, majoring in acting. As is common for art schools, SOPA shared the names of standout students who got accepted into top university programs, and Garam made that list. She was one of only 7 students from SOPA's acting department who passed the first round of entrance exams for Dongguk University's elite acting program. Although the announcement only included part of her name, fans immediately recognized her. And it was a pretty big deal since Dongguk receives over 2,000 applicants each year but only accepts 30 students. Getting in is no easy feat, and the fact that Garam made it this far shows just how serious she is about acting. Garam stayed quiet, but small updates about her life started surfacing, this time through school-related moments. In early 2024, her high school graduation photos made the rounds online, and many people took notice of how stunning she looked. Not long after, there were rumors that she might attend her graduation ceremony in person, but in the end, she didn't show up. Then in March, something more concrete came out. Konkuk University released a welcome post for new students in its acting department, showing a collage of headshots, and one familiar face stood out. For those of you who don't know, Konkuk University is especially known for its veterinary and arts programs. Its alumni include a long list of famous names, from actors like Lee Jong-suk, Hyeri, and Bae-duna, to K-pop idols like BTS Jin, Twice as Nayeon, and Chinese Minho. Among the 21st class of admitted students, Garam was clearly visible, wearing a black coat and sunglasses, posing casually for the camera, which showed fans that she was successfully moving on after a pretty traumatizing period of her life. In mid-May 2025, Garam quietly popped popped back into the public eye, and not through an official appearance or interview, but through Instagram. People stumbled across an account with no profile picture under the handle Garam Only. The name listed was Kim Garam, and the post included a few never-before-seen photos that strongly suggested it was really her. Despite the low-key nature of the account, it exploded overnight. Within a day, she'd already gained over 250,000 followers, and by May 22nd, she was approaching 1 million. International fans especially seemed thrilled. Some were celebrating her return to social media, leaving comments like, "In just 4 hours, you surpassed 100,000 followers. Oh, Garam, you're so loved, and can't wait for actress Garam debut." Some people were genuinely relieved to see Garam reappear, feeling glad that everything she went through hadn't completely pushed her out of the spotlight. But not everyone saw it that way. A lot of Korean netizens were still upset because to them, what happened in the past wasn't something that should just be brushed aside, and they didn't understand why anyone was defending her. Many still saw her as someone who had hurt her peers and felt her return to the public space was undeserved. Others were just confused by the attention she was getting. From their point of view, she was only active in the idol world for a few weeks, which to them was barely enough time to leave a mark. They argued that unless she officially returns as a singer or actress, she's just a private citizen now, with one Twitter user writing, "The chokehold Garam has on some of y'all is so odd to me, man. That is a regular citizen of South Korea." Garam's Instagram suddenly picked up even more buzz when a familiar name popped up in her comment section. Daniel, a former Island contestant who made it to the finale but didn't debut, left a simple hi with a heart emoji under one of her recent posts. Since the two had never been seen together before, the interaction caught a lot of people off guard, and it ended up sparking a whole wave of reactions. Some saw it as a clout-chasing move, accusing Daniel of trying to ride the wave of Garam's viral return, but others pushed back against that narrative. They pointed out that the two might have known each other long before their fame, possibly even trained together. Now that they're no longer tied down by company rules, a public comment isn't that strange. After all, it was just a greeting, which is why some people felt the whole thing was blown way out of proportion. Not long after Garam's sudden online return grabbed everyone's attention, fans started connecting the dots elsewhere too. Le Sserafim's Uncha posted something on her Instagram story that sparked more speculation, which was a photo of some green grapes followed by 5 rose emojis and a white heart. It didn't say anything outright, but longtime fans didn't see it as random. They believed the grapes might symbolize Sour Grapes, a B-side track from Le Sserafim's debut that many associated with Garam, especially after her standout performance in it. As for the emojis, fans thought they could represent the 5 current members and Garam, quietly included with the heart. Though nothing was confirmed, some people took it as a quiet sign that Unche and Garam might still be on good terms. Back when they were in the group, the two were often seen together and looked genuinely close. Unche had even once mentioned that a song featuring all 6 members was one of her favorites. Of course, if the current members are restricted from mentioning Garam publicly due to how messy her departure was, that wouldn't be surprising. Still, for fans who followed the group since its debut, this small moment was enough to make them believe that the bond between them might still be there, just not something they're allowed to show openly. Now that Garam has reappeared online, a big question is floating around. Is she planning a return to the entertainment world too? While she hasn't said anything directly, a lot of things are hinting that she might be gearing up for a comeback, just not as an idol this time. For starters, she's been studying acting, and the fact that she got accepted into a top university for it suggests she's got real potential. Around the time her Instagram account went public, people noticed it was now trackable on platforms like Social Blade, something that only happens if you switch to a professional account. Not long after, fans also realized her account category had been changed to actor. Then came another clue. Masahiko Komatsuzaki, the creative director behind XG's visuals, followed her and liked one of her posts. That small gesture got people talking. It might not seem like much, but to fans, it looked like the pieces of something bigger starting to form. Although she hasn't posted anything new as of May 22nd, many believe she's testing the waters before officially launching her acting career. One theory is that she might first appear in a music video. That would be a low-risk way to reintroduce herself, just enough visibility to gauge public response without diving in headfirst. If the feedback is positive and she's backed by a company, it could be the first step to something bigger. But for now, everyone's watching and waiting to see what she does next. Kim Garam vanished from the public eye. But what if someone disappeared for much longer? Someone who completely vanished from music for more than a decade and suddenly returned with a shocking update. This is the mysterious comeback of Ori. Ever since the early days, it was common for K-pop idols to disappear from the public eye, usually after they have faced a big scandal. But there are also some lesser-known idols and groups who have to give up on their dreams because they couldn't make it big and had to return to their normal lives. Probably the most extreme case of this was that of soloist Ori, who disappeared disappeared after being dubbed as one of the worst singers of her time. She had a disastrous performance in 2008, which still gets called the worst debut stage, and she hadn't been seen since. Well, until now. In a shocking twist of things, not only did Ori come back very recently, but she also did an interview in which she explained everything. Where she had been for all those years, and how she felt when her debut had gone wrong. But most importantly, she talked about the reason why she went into hiding in the first place. Born in Japan as Tanaka Sori, she moved to Korea and pursued her dream of becoming an idol at an early age. Ori joined a small unknown company called Chang's Entertainment at a young age, being their only artist. She was rigorously trained for a year by producer and composer Jung Hyun. According to the company, Ori's strength as an artist was that she was unapologetically herself, even if some people thought that she was a bit rough around the edges. Ori herself credited Jung Hyun for making her fall in love with singing again, but at the time of her debut, she dealt with insecurities about her body weight and image. She finally made her debut at just 14 years old under the stage name Ori. She released her debut mini-album Ori in 2008, which contained 3 tracks, My Love, It's Snowing, and the instrumental version of the latter. Ori's company, which was basically unknown in the industry, somehow managed to get her a slot at KBS's Music Bank to perform the title track of her debut mini-album. Ori could finally show her dedication she had put into debuting, and if things went well, she could get a fandom that would support her for the years to come. Little did everyone know that this would be the first and the last time that Ori would appear on stage. No matter how prepared she had been for this moment, everything went horrible when she went on stage. She was very cute and gave off this youthful charm that in other circumstances would have won the hearts of the public, but the performance itself wasn't great. Her voice was shaky and unstable when she sang, her dancing was awkward, and she looked like she wanted to be anywhere but on stage. If people were normal about anything, this wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Ori was 14 years old after all, and it was her first time going on stage without having any experience prior to that. Maybe the performance was bad because she got nervous or couldn't hear herself well due to problems with the audio. Maybe she realized that she couldn't handle being on stage when she was already in front of a crowd. The possibilities are endless, but the situation wasn't deserving of all the hate she got. She had plenty of time to work and improve since she was 14 and seemed very dedicated to her craft. Almost all K-pop idols mess up on stage at some point in their career, but they always try to improve next time. They're just regular people after all, and it's okay for them to mess up. So why did people make a big deal about a 14-year-old making mistakes on her first performance? We aren't exaggerating when we say that once the performance was uploaded and aired, netizens' comments on online spaces were beyond cruel. One of them said, "Her voice cracked, barely on tune. It was difficult to watch it all." There were comments about her appearance, her weight, her voice, and whatever netizens could find to pick on. She was also compared to IU, who debuted at the same time, and well, comparisons have never proven to be good for anyone's well-being. Her debut stage led a lot of people to wonder how Ori even got to debut in the first place, since they considered her talentless. There were rumors that she was the daughter of a rich man or the daughter of someone very important who had used connections to fulfill Ori's dreams of becoming an idol. A few even poked fun at her stage name, saying that the company had decided to promote her as Ori because she was an ugly duckling, which when said in Korean has the word Ori in it. They went as far as to say that the company had no problems debuting a quote-unquote ugly girl because they were doing an ugly duckling to beautiful swan concept, so she would probably get plastic surgery later on. We told you that these comments were unnecessarily cruel, and these are just a few of the points people made at the time. To think that this was being said about an actual child is simply horrifying, and we can't even imagine how Ori must have been feeling after reading all the things people were saying about her. As we mentioned, this was Ori's first and last stage, as nobody saw her after that. She never promoted the song again, never had a comeback, and the company never talked about her. They tried to erase every possible trace of her from the internet, acting like Ori has never debuted. Unfortunately, the negative comments against her didn't stop. Her performance at Music Bank was called the worst debut stage in history, and other idols were dragged into the issue as well. A year after Ori's debut, netizens started to speculate that she had done plastic surgery, joined Dream Tea Entertainment, and debuted with Girls' Day under the name Mina. Although it sounds crazy, this was literally a theory that was floating around at the time, and people thought it might be true. Believe it or not, Dream Tea Entertainment had to come out with a statement and clarify that no, Ori and Mina weren't the same person. Wonder Girl's Sohee was also involved as netizens started drawing comparisons between her skills and Ori's. It wasn't enough that they were hating on a teenager, but they were also using her to hate on another rookie idol. Ori remained hidden for a long time, and after some years, the YouTube channel Midnight Theories managed to bring light to some new information about her. They dug up an old interview with a trainee from Chang's Entertainment Entertainment's sister company. The trainee set the record straight, denying rumors that Ori was some rich businessman's daughter or the daughter of a broadcasting president. She also insisted that her singing wasn't as bad as it seemed on Music Bank, which only proved to us that the mishaps on her performance happened simply due to her being nervous. However, it was alleged the mean comments hit Ori so hard that she not only left her agency but ditched the entertainment scene altogether. It was also found out that Ori was living in Japan, allegedly trying to become a composer. Now, 16 years later, Ori herself has come out to talk about her experience and set the record straight. She did an interview with Sports Chosun where she revealed that once she decided to retire from being an idol, she had to take on different jobs to make an income. She even worked at an animal hospital at some point, as well as an IT company, so you know that she was trying everything. Since her stage had gone viral though, she couldn't exactly escape her past as an idol, so she often got recognized on the street by complete strangers even though she was doing her best to hide her identity. She had been suffering from depression at the time, and her self-esteem was seriously damaged from all the hate she'd gotten. Ori also spoke about the many rumors about her upbringing and the status of her family and said that she found them upsetting and ridiculous. Not only was she not wealthy, but her father, who was rumored to be this important executive or CEO who had allegedly pulled all sorts of strings to get his daughter to debut, had passed away when Ori was only 5, so he did not even witness her debut. As for the infamous debut stage, Ori revealed that the producer of Music Bank took her aside after the performance. Although he seemed angry and the situation in the room was tense, he didn't lash out at her. According to her, he had probably planned to scold her but only told her to leave so he could spare her feelings. Her mother had also had a conversation with the CEO after the debut stage where the company told her that they were canceling all her scheduled appearances and that was basically the end of her career. Among all things that she shared in the interview, she also took the time to praise IU, who she shared the same waiting room with. Ori said that she admired her talent and thought that she was an amazing singer. At the end of the interview, Ori apologized, although we believe she's the one who deserves an apology from the public. She admitted she understood the criticism, regretted her flaws, and asked people to see her in a more positive light now. It's sad to see just how much Ori suffered because of one performance, which is why she shouldn't have apologized in the first place. Even if her singing had swept everyone off their feet and she had become famous, people would still find things to criticize and hate on her for. This is best seen when reading the recent comments on her performance after a netizen made a post about it. These comments said, "I remember her singing was so bad, worse than any school talent show, and she didn't answer the most important question, which is how she got a debut stage at all with those skills." It's honestly devastating that Ori can talk about how the performance and the comments affected her and people still criticize it and even talk about her family. It seems like these netizens have no respect for anyone's life and hard work. We wish Ori all the best and hope that she doesn't let these comments affect her. But Ori's silence was not the only disappearance surrounded by uncertainty. There was another artist whose story is filled with mystery and unanswered questions. A pioneer who vanished without explanation. The first openly lesbian idol, MAMAN. The real story of MAMAN, one of the first openly lesbian K-pop idols, is one big mystery that is accompanied by many rumors, weird disappearance, and speculations whether the coming out was even real. In this video, we'll try to uncover the truth about MAMAN's story. Being an openly gay K-pop idol in South Korea isn't an easy thing. Although the times are changing and people are becoming more and more accepting towards the LGBTQ+ community, it can't be said about all of them. But what's more troublesome than the different opinions of the public are the difficulties these idols have to face when it comes to entertainment companies. As sad as it is, not a lot of companies seem to want to recruit an idol who is openly a member of the LGBTQ+ community. Being openly gay is still considered somewhat of a taboo in South Korea, and while there are a lot of good things to it, there are some bad ones as well. Most of them include the Korean public. A good example of how hesitant entertainment companies are when it comes to LGBTQ+ idols is MAMAN. Park Min-young, now known as MAMAN and formerly known as Magapply, started her career in the early 2000s. Before she made her debut on February 8th of 2007, she trained under SM Entertainment for 4 years before she decided to change companies. After she parted ways with SM, she signed with Jerry Entertainment. That's the company behind her debut, which happened in 2007. Under this company, she released the single Girl in Flight, which featured a lot of famous K-pop idols like Kim Young-woon from Super Junior and other celebrities. Now, this is when the situation gets a little heartbreaking and confusing. When MAMAN was under Jerry Entertainment, she decided to take the brave step and come out of the the closet. In one of her interviews, MAMAN shared that she was a lesbian, and that's when it all went downhill, as you can probably imagine. What didn't help MAMAN's case was also the time. It was around 2010, and people used to be way more conservative and closed-minded about the LGBTQ+ community than they are right now. In fact, her coming out ended tragically. Once she revealed her truth to the world, it seemed like everything turned against her. At first, Jerry Entertainment tried to play her coming out as a joke, and I can't even explain how horrible that is. But when MAMAN disproved what her company said and insisted that she was being serious, Jerry Entertainment abruptly kicked her out of the company. What's even stranger is not only was she dropped within a day, everything about her was erased completely from the internet. On top of that, MAMAN was pretty mysterious already, since she refused to show her face until about 2 months after her debut because she wanted to be known for her voice and not for her face. She didn't show her face in pictures, and she didn't even make an appearance in her debut music video. As of right now, there are no traces of her past on the internet except for a few articles. MAMAN is simply a big K-pop mystery. It actually seems as if she completely vanished. After MAMAN was kicked out of Jerry Entertainment, there was a long period of time where she didn't release any music or new content. MAMAN was inactive for about 3 years until she was picked up by another label. It finally seemed like her career would pick up again when she released the song Obvious Story in 2015. The music video proudly shows off the LGBTQ+ community, and it attracted a lot of support and appreciation. A lot of people found her coming out in such a conservative country like South Korea very brave and courageous. Unfortunately, her 2015 single is the last project MAMAN released, and she has been gone ever since. Because there's so little information about her, it almost feels as if people made her up and she wasn't real at all. Since there are just a few articles and a couple of videos, people have been getting a little suspicious if her coming out was even real. As previously mentioned, Jerry Entertainment allegedly wiped out all of the content that included her, from articles to pictures to interviews. Unfortunately, the interview where MAMAN came out was completely deleted as well. Or did it even exist? Almost like a conspiracy, people have been vocal about the issue, especially on Reddit. They have been questioning if there's anything left that would actually confirm MAMAN's coming out, stating that the few articles that could be found only repeat the same thing. None of them contain a link to the said interview or statement. There is literally nothing, and it makes people wonder if this story is simply made up. What also doesn't help the case is that it's been more than 10 years since it happened. One user replied to someone asking if MAMAN truly came out. I unfortunately can't remember when she said it, but I know that she did state it publicly, maybe on social media? Her company tried to play it off as a prank, and she was released from her contract when she refused to support that idea of explanation. Another user replied to the comment, everyone says she said it in an interview in 2006. That interview is nowhere to be found. They say her company Jerry Entertainment released a statement which is, again, nowhere to be found. I heard someone say she was just an ally and not actually gay. No one can confirm or deny that, which is really weird. The whole situation is weird and a little bit disturbing. Her previous company, Jerry Entertainment, is also nowhere to be found, almost as if they disappeared with no trace left behind. Nothing comes up on Google or anywhere else, and it seems like the company never even existed. It's possible that it's because it was a small company and it existed such a long time ago, but adding everything together, it makes for a pretty interesting urban legend. Although MAMAN hasn't been seen since 2015, the title of being the first openly gay K-pop idol can never be taken away from her. Despite how tough the LGBTQ+ community had it in the early 2000s, there were a couple of openly female idols that have been loud and proud, MAMAN being one of them. Before MAMAN debuted and made her public coming out, there was a group called Lady, which was the first ever all-transgender group in South Korea. They debuted in 2005 with 4 members, and their main inspiration was taken from Harisu. Harisu, her real name being Lee Kyung-eun, is a Korean pop singer, model, and also actress. Assigned male at birth, Harisu identified as a female from early childhood, and she transitioned in the 90s. Harisu is a pretty big legend, as she is South Korea's first transgender public figure, and in 2002, she became the first person in South Korea to legally change their gender. Back to the group Lady though. As all of you can guess, their career was very short-lived, and they disbanded just 2 years after their debut in 2007. As sad as it is, Lady wasn't able to be really promoted as their music videos weren't received well by the public. They did receive some attention by the media, but it wasn't because of the music they were releasing. They garnered attention because of their unique status as a transgender group in a very conservative country. They were able to perform on some music shows, just a couple of times though. The last attempt to attract more attention and publicity was when the group released a photo book featuring photos of all the Lady members without any clothes, but this wasn't a success either. There had also been a controversy surrounding the group shortly after their debut. It was rumored that one of the members underwent the reassignment surgery so she could avoid mandatory military service. The controversy had never been confirmed nor denied, and it remains more of a rumor, her, but many people believe it was the reason why the group fell apart. After the group disbanded, the members slowly faded into the shadows. Although they weren't able to have the career they maybe wanted to, their courage and bravery to be themselves was still big, and I think it's important to know that groups like Lady help shift the LGBTQ+ movement forward, especially when it comes to celebrities. It's all thanks to artists like MAMAN, Harisu, Lady, and others that idols now can be more comfortable with their sexualities and identities. These people paved the way for idols like Holland, who is mistakenly labeled as the first openly gay K-pop idol. Although he hasn't been the first idol to be vocal in public about his sexuality, he's been an advocate about a lot of important issues. Ever since he debuted in 2018 as a singer, he's been using his platform to speak up on very alarming issues. Holland encountered the same issue as MAMAN did when she was kicked out of Jerry Entertainment. Holland as well has a problem finding himself an agency that would be willing to sign someone who is openly a member of the LGBTQ+ community. Lastly, who I would like to mention is Hansol from the now disbanded group Top Dog. He's also been a big voice for the members of the LGBTQ+ community. During an Instagram session in August of 2017, Hansol came out as asexual. Hansol told his viewers, "I thought about this, and I'm asexual. I don't like anyone. I only like myself. I just like my friends and family." Since his coming out, Hansol has been receiving a lot of support and praise. Being asexual often means that people are frowned upon by the public and sometimes by the LGBTQ+ community as well, so it's really nice to see celebrities speaking up about these topics. One user on Twitter wrote, "Top Dog's Hansol was so brave to come out as asexual. Most people forget that asexuality exists. I sincerely hope that as society evolves and moves forward, there will be more people being able to be fully themselves without having to hide any parts of themselves." While we should definitely support the LGBTQ+ idols that we have right now, it's important to not forget those who were brave when the world wasn't so accepting yet. And maybe we can eventually get some answers about Maman's mysterious disappearance. What do you think about her story? And Maman's disappearance connects to another group whose story remains one of the most shocking endings in idol history. GLAM literally collapsed overnight and left its members scattered and forgotten. After GLAM had one of the most controversial disbandments of all time, everyone has been wondering what the members have been up to. GLAM used to be Big Hits and Source Music Entertainment's first girl group. They debuted on July 16th, 2012 with the single Party XXO. The music video also featured a couple of BTS members. The reactions to their debut was quite nice, especially knowing that Big Hit wasn't the huge company that it is today. The public enjoyed the hip-hop vibes from the song, and it was mostly something that was played at parties. There were discussions that the lyrics were targeted towards the LGBT community, but for a group that debuted in a company that was outside of the big three labels, the beginning was quite nice. Jiyeon was the leader of the group while it was still active. She was also the lead rapper and the vocalist of GLAM. After parting ways with the group, she ended up leaving Big Hit too, knowing that the company wasn't interested in re-debuting her in another group or as a soloist. She then auditioned on Show Me the Money 4. She didn't make it into the next round, but she left quite an impression. First, she introduced herself to the public and viewers by saying, "I am GLAM's leader Jiyeon. GLAM was the group named as blackmail idols in articles. GLAM disbanded after that event occurred. So to earn money, I had part-time jobs at a restaurant and cafe, but I can't give up. I want to continue pursuing music with rap. It's challenging." After her introduction, the viewers were then shown her rapping audition. One of the judges, Sunmi, who was screening auditioners, approached her and then she shocked everyone because her rap was about none other than Lee Byung-hun and the blackmail scandal. She let it all out during her performance, talking about how frustrating it was for her and the members, their state of mind, and all the challenges they dealt with during the time of the scandal. She was able to perform on stage as part of a group, but was eliminated after the first round. This was most likely due to the controversial lyrics of her rap, which directly targeted actor Lee Byung-hun and everyone involved. She became a part of KQ Entertainment in 2017 and made her debut as a soloist under the name Lucy. She released her single B-Day the same year. A solo career didn't seem to be too favorable to her, as she also joined Mix 9 as an audition contestant, but wasn't successful there as she was eliminated during the audition. She left KQ Entertainment in 2019 and then joined DCTOM Entertainment, where she remains to this day as a solo artist. When she landed under her new company, she released her single Subway under the stage name Hey, but she hasn't made a comeback since. Jeannie, on the other hand, pursued an entirely different, unique career. Before debuting with GLAM, she used to be a former breakdancer who joined and won numerous competitions. She was especially known for her breakdancing skills, and that's exactly the reason that she became the main dancer and the main rapper of the group and excelled in her position. Though after the group's disbandment, she took an entirely different path. She didn't join any rap groups or continue with her dancing. In fact, she left the music industry permanently and doesn't seem like she has any plans to come back anytime soon. Currently, she goes by the name of Jeannie Kim and is a longboard skater. Bet you didn't expect that, huh? She has won multiple awards in her field, even being crowned as the longboard world champion in 2019. She's also a model for a few longboard and athletic wear brands and has her own YouTube channel in which she posts videos of her skating. Trinity didn't have the best reputation amongst fans and the public even when she was a part of GLAM. During her years as a member though, she was nicknamed Cussing Granny by the fans because she used to swear a lot and allegedly showed aggressive behavior towards her own fans. Trinity ended up leaving the group less than a year after the debut due to what Big Hit shared to be personal reasons and because she didn't want to be a celebrity anymore. However, there's a bigger chance that she was forced out of the group, and it's for a crazy reason. When her departure was announced, netizens dug around a bit and found out that she was actually a Sasang fan of Super Junior's Itook. In an old post that netizens discovered, Trinity lied and pretended to be the daughter of a CEO from a broadcasting agency or the daughter of a producer, changing it up on occasion. That way, she could get into the meeting rooms of Super Junior and personally meet up with Itook. Due to her stalking skills, allegedly, all the Super Junior members knew who Trinity was. Remember that these were just rumors and were never officially confirmed, but confirmed or not, this was enough for Super Junior fans to turn against her. After getting kicked out of the group, Trinity didn't try to get back to the industry again, which is no wonder. Considering what people were saying about her and the rumors attached to her name, she wouldn't have a lot of fans if she actually re-debuted in another group or as a soloist, though her recent whereabouts are kind of unknown. Seeing as Trinity had changed her Instagram account several times, it's been hard to keep up with her. It has gotten confusing to the point that several Instagram models and even an actress have been mistaken to be Trinity, so it's not known what she's doing at the moment. It's a big possibility that she started going by the name Sujin again. If she really is who people are assuming her to be, it seems like she opened her own clothing line called Vivid Yoon, which is doing quite well. The supposed Trinity also does some freelance modeling on the side and is very active on social media. Let's now get into the member you all have been waiting for. Dahi was the main vocalist of GLAM and had quite an impressive fan base supporting her. Who knew she'd also be the reason for the group's disbandment in 2015? During the summer of 2014, Dahi and her friend model Lee Ji-yeon met with famous Korean actor Lee Byung-hun a few times. Even though Byung-hun was married and even expecting a child with his wife at the time, he made inappropriate advances towards Ji-yeon, who wasn't interested at first. Well, that was until the topic of money came up. According to Ji-yeon, the two started an affair behind Byung-hun's wife's back, but it didn't go all that smoothly. They had a fight about money or their relationship, depending on who you ask, that ended up in the two breaking up. The end of the relationship left a bitter taste in Ji-yeon's mouth, who wanted to take revenge on him. So she asked for Dahi's help to blackmail him. In August 2014, Ji-yeon and Dahi both visited Byung-hun's apartment for drinks while his wife was away. Byung-hun got drunk and Dahi recorded him making some inappropriate comments to Ji-yeon. They used it to blackmail Byung-hun for $4.4 million, saying that they would release the recordings to the public if he didn't give them the money. If they got the money, Ji-yeon and Dahi were planning to flee to Europe to escape from the authorities, but plans didn't go exactly the way they wanted to. Not only did Byung-hun not pay them the money that they had asked from him, but he also reported them to the police for blackmail. Warrants were filed for their arrest, which made both of them freak out and attempt to leave Korea, but they didn't get very far. They were arrested on September 1st, and Dahi was sentenced to a year in prison, while Ji-yeon got a year and a few months. Dahi's sentence was lightened to a probationary period of 2 years due to Byung-hun's request. When Dahi was sentenced, there was no reason for GLAM to continue promoting anymore. I mean, they had only 3 members and 2 major scandals in the 3 years that they were active. On January 15th, 2015, Big Hit Entertainment announced that GLAM had disbanded after all the members ended their contracts. But what happened with Dahi? After serving her time, Dahi went on to first become a model, but then decided to become an Africa TV BJ. She started streaming in 2018 under the name Kim Si-won. According to 2021 reports, Dahi earned more than 10 million star balloons during her career on Africa TV. For those of you that aren't aware, star balloons are monetary gifts that the viewers can send BJ streamers for enjoying their content. She can also earn additional money receiving personal donations from her viewers, but in total, it's estimated she gets at least 600,000 US dollars from her streaming only. But even though GLAM is disbanded and Dahi never re-debuted in the industry, industry and changed her career paths, it seems like she hasn't lost her love and passion for music. She has her own YouTube channel where she uploads K-pop vocal and dance covers. If you watch her covers, you'd understand why she was the main vocalist of the group. Miso was the youngest member and the lead vocalist of the group. Being void of any scandals and having possibly the nastiest disbandment in the history of K-pop, Miso chose to lead a quiet life after her contract ended. Miso ended up leaving the K-pop industry and possibly the entertainment industry entirely after the group was over. She was active as a YouTuber, posting different videos on her GoTube channel up until 5 years ago, with her most recent video being from 2017. Her last Instagram update was also from 2017, so her recent whereabouts are unknown to the fans and the public. Let's hope that she's okay and only doesn't want to be in the eyes of the public anymore. The sudden collapse of GLAM is painful to look back on, but they are not the only group whose future was destroyed in an instant. There was another group whose talent and impact could have changed everything, yet everything fell apart far too fast. Here is what happened to the members of B.A.P. B.A.P has been through a lot during their time as a K-pop group, and things didn't turn out so well for them. Now, 4 years after their departure from the company, many people are wondering what the members are up to. B.A.P debuted in 2012 under the agency TS Entertainment, and they had immense potential to become a very popular group. While they gained a significant loyal fan base, their career took a hard hit in 2014 when the group got involved in a legal conflict with their agency. In November of 2014, the reports about the group filing a lawsuit against their agency made headlines. The members wanted to nullify their contract, claiming that they were working under unfair conditions and that their profit distribution wasn't fair either. Additionally, the lawsuit included the claims that out of the $9 million the group earned over the 3 years of being a group, each member was only paid around $18,000. TS Entertainment refuted the claims just a day later. At the end of the legal battle, the group returned to TS Entertainment after they reached a settlement and continued their career under the agency until 2019, when even the remaining members departed from the agency. The situation was difficult to deal with for all the members, but especially for Bang Young-guk, who was the group's leader. Shortly after the group parted ways with TS Entertainment, he published a book titled The Best Is Yet to Come, in which he discussed his personal struggles and his growth over the years that he spent in the K-pop industry. Overall, the book received a lot of attention for being so personal, but the part detailing Young-guk's time at their agency went viral. In the book, he wrote, "The day after my contract ended, I opened my eyes. I didn't think the world changed greatly, but I knew I did." Although he never named their agency, it was obvious to readers that he was talking about TS Entertainment. In the book, Young-guk's writing comes off as if he lost a lot of hope at first, but gradually became a stronger person. He wrote, "Now that my 8 years of promoting as an idol is over, I realize I have nothing left, but I also don't hate anyone from it." Young-guk also opened up about the time that he was so broke from not getting any settlements from the company that he had to work part-time as a newspaper delivery boy. Young-guk wrote, "The lawsuit did cost a lot. Because I wasn't ever paid by the agency, I sold my collection of sneakers and paid off the fees. I stayed with my parents for the time being. I went back to the newspaper distribution office where I worked in my high school days." Young-guk managed to overcome the difficult time, and he bounced right back. In 2019, he released a documentary called Something to Talk About that covered his experiences as a member of B.A.P, as well as his creative journey as an artist. It's also the first documentary to be produced by a K-pop idol. In 2021, he established his one-man agency called Consent, and he was signed under YY Entertainment in 2023. Young-guk has also been very active as a producer, most recently participating in Just B's debut mini-album, including their debut title track Damage. Right now, Young-guk is currently on tour called The Colors across Asia, Europe, and the US. Jung Dae-hyun has been staying pretty quiet since his discharge from the military in May of 2022. The 2 years leading up to Dae-hyun's enlistment were nothing but fruitful, although he definitely experienced some hiccups. In March of 2019, Dae-hyun decided to start a crowdfunding campaign with the company Culture Bridge to acquire funds to support his debut mini-album. He had to face heavy criticism for the cost of the benefits that were provided to patrons who contributed with anything between $100 to almost $450, as they were deemed to be excessive. At the time, Dae-hyun was being compared to Young-guk, who managed to release his solo album without crowdfunding. Dae-hyun expressed his regrets over partaking in crowdfunding and released his album Chapter 227 a month later. From November of 2019 to February of 2020, Dae-hyun played the lead role of Danny in the musical tropical Greece. For the series Sweet Munchies, he released a song called All Things Will Pass. Since his return from the military, it seems like Tae Hyun isn't super active in the industry and is possibly enjoying a quiet life out of the spotlight. After B.A.P left their agency, another member established an independent agency. Yoo Young-jae set up his one-man record label J-World Entertainment in 2019 and released his debut mini-album in April of 2019. For the past 4 years, Young-jae has had a successful career as an actor. His acting career started in 2019 when he was cast as the lead role in the drama series Kim is a Genius. Young-jae also appeared in the variety show Mileage Soccer, where celebrities played soccer with various football teams in Korea to raise money for charity. In August of 2019, Young-jae signed an exclusive contract with D-Most Entertainment where he pursued his career in acting and variety. His first major television role was in the drama Woman of 9.9 Billion, and he also participated in his first ever OST for the drama. Young-jae left D-Most Entertainment in 2020, and the same year, he was cast in the historical comedy drama Mr. Queen. As of right now, Young-jae is currently serving his mandatory military service after he enlisted in November of 2022. While the other members are doing pretty well, the same thing cannot be said about Himtan. He's been in a lot of trouble over the past few years, starting in 2018 when he was accused of attacking a woman in her 20s during a retreat at a guest house. Throughout his trial that took place in 2019, Himtan maintained his innocence and claimed that he and the woman had a good relationship. During the trial, his lawyer said that there were feelings of interest between them and that Himtan's legal team acknowledged the truth about the kissing and the touching of her chest. His lawyer added that there was no physical contact beyond that though. Even though they tried to fight for Himtan's innocence, he was still sentenced to 10 months in prison and 40 to 50 hours in a treatment program. He was not arrested immediately as he was given some time to apologize to the victim. He filed for an appeal in March of 2019. In 2020, Himtan was booked for driving under the influence, and since the public's perception of him was already negative, this didn't help. Gangnam Police Station stated that they arrested Himtan for violation of traffic laws, and at the time of his arrest, his blood alcohol content was high enough for him to have his driving license suspended. In June of 2021, Star News released a report that Himtan attempted to take his own life. According to the report, Himtan's mother was contacted by a close person of his and was able to intervene in time. Fortunately, Himtan was able to recover at home. In April of 2022, Himtan officially admitted to all charges of his attack that took place in 2018, but just a few months later, in October of 2022, he was accused of yet another similar issue. According to industry reports, Himtan allegedly attacked 2 women in a bar in Hannam-dong in April of 2022. One of the women was a foreigner, while the other one was Korean. Unfortunately, this isn't the last attack Himtan committed, because in April of 2023, he was accused of inappropriately touching another woman again. It's understandable that Himtan faced extreme public backlash, and many netizens hope that he won't return back to the industry after he serves his prison sentence. The trial for his crime from April of this year is still ongoing. Moon Jong-up took a 6-month-long break from music after B.A.P ended as a group. Instead, he pursued a career in acting and theater. He was cast for an encore show of the theater production The Lost Village. He was also a contestant on the survival reality show Sign Here, where the participants auditioned to join J-Park's record label AOMG. Unfortunately, he was eliminated in the second round, but he signed an exclusive contract with the Groove Company shortly after. His first debut single album Headache came out in 2020. In 2021, Jong-up was cast in a music comedy Idol Recipe, and the producers couldn't find a better fit since the movie talks about a group that becomes successful despite being abandoned by their agency. During his time in the show Peak Time, where Jong-up performed hits like Anyone by 17 or Good Boy Gone Bad by TXT, he caught the attention of many netizens who were eagerly waiting to see what's next. In May of 2023, Jong-up signed with the company MA Entertainment. Jong-up also went viral after he posted a picture with other B.A.P members in March of 2023. Many of B.A.P's fans were thrilled to see the members reunite after such a long time. Choi Jun-hong, although he is better known as Jello, also didn't have a smooth start to his solo career. After he left TS Entertainment in December of 2018 following the expiration of his contract, he signed with A Entertainment just a month later in January of 2019. Unfortunately, half a year later in August of 2019, it was reported that Jello sent his agency a contract termination letter in which he cited unpaid wages as the main reason. His agency didn't agree to the termination, so Jello filed an official lawsuit. Thankfully, Seoul Central District Court ruled in Jello's favor and his contract was annulled in 2020. When it comes to music, the last non-album single Deadline was released in 2022. Jello has been laying pretty low except for the fan meetings and dance workshops that he held in spring of 2023, and it's hard to say if he's enjoying life or if he's working hard on new music. And among all the stories that faded away, the next one is perhaps the hardest to watch. A journey filled with incredible talent that eventually turned into heartbreak and struggle. This is the tragic downfall of Nam Tae Hyun.
From his initial rise to stardom to the controversies and hardships that led to his fall from grace, here's the story of how Nam Tae Hyun went from one of the most loved winner members to one of the most controversial figures in K-pop. Nam Tae Hyun had a very promising start, but then things turned around for the worse very early on. In October of 2016, it was announced that Tae Hyun would be taking a break from his activities because of his declining mental health. YG Entertainment went on to say that Tae Hyun has been having these issues ever since he was a trainee, but they became harder to handle over time. Because of his mental health, the company decided to postpone Winner's scheduled comeback. But despite the company stating the reason for his hiatus, it didn't stop netizens from speculating. They thought that the reason for his absence was because he'd been drifting away from the other members and was planning on leaving. Some people took notice of how Tae Hyun wasn't at Winner's dorm or spending a lot of time with the members. Social media photos also show him apart from the group at different events, suggesting there might be some disagreements among them. It didn't help that Tae Hyun kept releasing self-composed tracks on SoundCloud, despite there being no official news about Winner's comeback. One of his songs, Who Cares, has sparked speculation that it might be about his separation from Winner, with the lyrics expressing feelings of farewell, not caring about others' opinions, and a sense of being alone. Then, in November of 2016, YG gave the most unexpected news that fans could imagine. Not only were 2NE1 disbanding, but Tae Hyun had also officially departed from Winner. According to YG, due to Tae Hyun's mental health issues, it became impossible for him to carry on his promotions. The company stated that they believed the pressure on Tae Hyun was causing issues for the group and they could no longer continue halting Winner's promotion, considering they had only been a group for 2 years at that point. Tae Hyun also wrote a letter to his fans, thanking them for their support and promised to continue making good music. The struggles continued even after he left, but he did try to make a name for himself. He set up his own agency in April of 2017, naming it South Buyers Club. Reports said that he received lots of offers from agencies who asked him to sign with them, but ultimately decided to found his own agency, manage his own band, and produce music as the band's center. He also formed his own indie boy band called South Club in 2017. However, the state of his mental health didn't improve. Tae Hyun made a series of worrying posts in August 2017, which were possibly triggered by all the hate he was getting after leaving Winner. In addition to the rumors of him not getting along with the members, he really wasn't the fans' favorite. In an episode of Video Star, he opened up about his financial struggles after he left YG Entertainment. According to Tae Hyun, he did the styling for the members of his indie band and paid employees with his own money, or even took out loans. But at least he was happy with what he was doing. Tae Hyun said that a big chunk of his stress was caused by being followed around by the staff wherever he went. There also came a time when he didn't enjoy working on his music, since he started to struggle coming up with lyrics and hooks that would fit the style of the group. So, it seemed like being in control of what he does and what music he puts out must have been a big relief to him. But just when you thought things were going well for him, everything managed to go downhill in 2019. First, he was embroiled in one of the worst scandals of his career. At the time, Tae Hyun was dating singer Young Jae-in. The two confirmed their relationship in April of 2019 and were very affectionate with each other publicly. Overall, everyone seemed very happy, with fans congratulating the couple for breaking the dating norms in K-pop at the time. Only 2 months after their relationship was made public, Ji-in accused Tae Hyun of cheating on her. Jae-in posted a few Instagram pictures revealing that another woman had messaged her to share that Tae Hyun was cheating on her and had lied about his relationship status. According to the woman, Tae Hyun pretended to have broken up previously with Jae-in, but told the woman that the agency hadn't disclosed their status yet. Ji-in went on to say that admitting to the relationship had put her company in a difficult position and even got her hate from his fans, but Tae Hyun had insisted that they make their relationship public despite the consequences. She also said she ended up cutting contact with her Studio Vibes cast members because Tae Hyun would get angry whenever she would try to talk in the group chat. Netizens condemned him for such an act. The comments also praised Jae-in for coming forward with her accusations and not letting him get away with anything. He apologized to both women, and Ji-in ended up accepting his apology, seeking to move on and promising to cheer him on in the future. The Korean public, on the other hand, wasn't as forgiving as Tae Hyun had hoped. He started dropping out of projects and getting edited out of shows as netizens had made their stance clear. They didn't want him on the TV. Then, shortly after he made his appearance for the first time since his cheating scandal, his close friend Sully passed away in October of 2019. He posted his thoughts, expressing that he didn't want to lose any more friends, adding that he gets malicious comments regularly and that he'd even attempted to take his life in the past. Tae Hyun went on to say, "My friend, I wonder how much pain she was in. I as well didn't think I could stand much more, and there was a time I tried to take my own life." He added that it was hard to ignore these comments since his name kept rising in search rankings. In November of the same year, the agency he set up had dissolved and he and his band signed with P&B Entertainment. He said that it had been hard running his own company, so they found a more established system and support. Only a few days later, his other friend Gu Hara tragically took her own life. Fans were understandably worried about his mental state, seeing as he'd spoken out about the effect of malicious commenters only a month before. In a livestream in February of 2020, he broke down. In the livestream, he shared how tough it had been for him to write music lately, since he was unsure about what kind of songs to create and finding it challenging to come up with songs that resonate with the public. Fans were taken aback when he apologized for his behavior after leaving Winner and begged them to stop hating him. He admitted to becoming a bad person and expressed fear every day. It got worrying the next day when he started crying and shared how tough things have been. He asked for support for his music and apologized again. He also mentioned medicine for depression and startled fans by mentioning a gun. Tae Hyun apologized to fans for worrying them, but his mental state didn't get any better. In fact, things only got worse. In August of 2022, Seo Min-jae, a contestant from Heart Signal 3, accused Tae Hyun of using illegal substances and harming her physically. She shared her story on Instagram, posting a selfie with Tae Hyun and alleging, "Nam Tae Hyun does Philippon. His syringe is either in my room or in my office cabinet. He also hit me." Though the selfie has been deleted, Min-jae uploaded other pictures of them together, each time stating different things. She also mentioned having a recording on her phone without specifying its content and revealed that they were once in love. On August 21st, the Seoul Yongsan police station initiated an internal investigation into Tae Hyun's alleged substance use. Shortly after news of the police investigation broke, Min-jae retracted her accusations on Instagram, saying that they were made when the two had a heated fight which had occurred after she'd taken an excessive amount of medication. Min-jae revealed she was hospitalized for treatment and had reconciled with Tae Hyun in the meantime. Later, on August 26th, both Min-jae and Tae Hyun were taken into custody on suspicion of illegal substance use. They were called in for investigation and questioning to determine if they had ever used illegal substances. In the meantime, Tae Hyun also had a DUI accident, which he was fined 6 million Korean won for, but he had bigger fish to fry. In May of this year, the Yongsan police station in Seoul requested an arrest warrant for the two on charges of violating the Narcotics Control Act. On May 18th, the court planned to interrogate the suspects before deciding on the arrest. Authorities had reason to believe that the two may have attempted to destroy evidence related to the case, but as of June 2023, nothing has been determined. On the other hand, Tae Hyun has been pretty open about his struggles with substances since the news hit the internet. In an episode of KBS's In-Depth 60 Minutes, he confessed that his reliance on prescription pills and diet pills during his promotion days led to a downward spiral. As the pandemic hit, his depression worsened due to fewer opportunities, pushing him towards harder substances. Regretting his initial curiosity, Tae Hyun revealed his increasing dependence on these substances, with the consequences extending beyond his mental and physical health. They left him financially shattered with massive debts and lost contracts, forcing him to sell his properties. If it makes you feel better, though, he's taking steps towards his recovery. In a video posted on the YouTube channel Kizzle, Tae Hyun opened up about his current journey through an addiction rehabilitation center in Incheon. Tae Hyun said that he was committed to recovery and his contemplation of a new path for life. He disclosed that he was doing so much better and took the time to warn others against using substances. It's best not to judge Tae Hyun for his actions, as it seems like he's been through an awful lot of things. From losing his closest friends to going through difficult times as a K-pop idol, he ended up doing things that he now regrets. But he does deserve a second chance, don't you think?
So many idols have disappeared from the spotlight, each with a story the public never fully heard. If you want to keep uncovering what really happened to them, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell.